Well, what do we have here? It is a special Election Day podcast. And I'm going to tell you right now that I vote for my guest today, Phil Rudd of ACDC. I vote for him as the greatest drummer of all time. And I mean that. When you think about what this man has done, his groove, his feel, his influence on zillions of drummers out there. Yeah, you have all kinds of drummer wars, Neil Peart, Bonzo, all these guys. All these guys, I say. Those are the two guys that people always bring up in battle. And I always like to drop the Phil Rudd card. And then people look at you for a minute and then they go, you know what? You could be right. It's unreal. It's unreal the last few weeks here on Let There Be Talk. It has been It has absolutely been a dream come true. I still am speechless that when I try to talk about it, I just kind of say, well, I guess I got lucky. I want to thank Jay and Kim over at Columbia Records for fully believing in this podcast and bringing these guests to the show. They know how much it meant to me, and I will never be able to repay them, and I cannot thank the band ACDC enough for doing this. These guys are deep in their career. They don't need to be doing a podcast. They could just drop the record, The Planet Goes Crazy, and be done with it. But like I've said before, these guys are solid humans. They are not the big rock star. They are the rock stars, but they don't play that game. And that is why I think one of the number one reasons why the people love this band so much. And to sit down and talk to Phil Rudd is just... it's just insane to me. This guy, for all these years, I hear it over and over. I just heard Lars Ulrich a couple weeks ago say that Phil Rudd was the greatest drummer of all time. And I hear every drummer that I ever hang out with. Steve Gorman from the Black Crowes, Brad Wilk, Dave Lombardo, all these guys that I've had on the show and that have played at the tribute to Bon Scott with me, Ronnie Crawford, drummer after drummer after drummer after drummer has said Phil Rudd is the man. And I want to thank Phil for doing the show. It was beyond an honor to have you on, buddy. And I want to thank all of you once again for tuning in. The ACDC family out there, all of you, the chat boards, on my Instagram, on my Twitter, everywhere, giving me some big love. It's been a very, very cool ride, and it's sad that it's winding down. Who knows? I'd love to get Stevie Young on. But I'm not going to get greedy. To be able to talk to each member from that Back in Black era is unreal, man. It is unreal. And I hope you guys enjoy this one. And by the way, I thought of a very cool thing to do. And, I met Bill Burr 9 years ago. We bonded over AC/DC and music. He has been a mentor to me in my comedy, and he has done numerous cool things for me, and I'm always trying to find something cool to do for him. So I wanted to invite him on for the last 15 minutes or so because Bill loves Phil Rudd as much as I do, and I really wanted to have him on. So hang in there. The last 15 is really cool. Hearing Bill ask Phil Rudd helicopter questions and drum nerd stuff. So it was great to have you on, Bill. I love you. You know that. And right on. Before we do get into it, I'm sure there's a lot of drummers listening today. And you probably got some aches and pains over the years of playing drums. You got some creaks in your joints. You're going to need some CBD. CBDlion.com is the place to go. The cleanest CBD in the world. These guys are third-party tested. This ain't that truck stop shit. This ain't that stuff just sitting on a counter at a flea market. This is real deal CBD. I've been using it for a year now on my severely shattered neck, and it has helped 100%. Also, I do have a little trouble sleeping, especially during the election time. CBDlion.com. They got the tinctures that help you sleep. They got they have the lotions. They have pet tinctures, which are great if you got a cuckoo pet. Use the code DEAN, DEAN. Get 20% off every time. Not one time, all the time. Use the code over and over and over. It helps them. It helps you. It helps me. CBDlion.com. Use the code DEAN. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the new podcast. I have a second podcast called The Grail with Dean Delray, and that is on iTunes, YouTube, all those spots, SoundCloud, Libsyn, all over the place. And that's going to be where you can find all my handmade podcasts featuring all kinds of cool creators and makers, guitar builders, motorcycle builders, denim makers, boots, watches, cars, everything, drums. We've had some drum people on. All right. Enough babbling. I read the reviews. You guys are, that fucking guy talks too much at the top. Once again, here we are. ACDC. New records out November 13th. Power up. See the new video soon. Demon Fire. Spread the word. Let's welcome to the show, Phil Rudd. Oh, let me tell you, man. I got goosebumps right now. This is a dream come true to talk to you because I'm obviously a giant AC/DC fan, and I got to talk to Brian and Angus and Cliff, but I've always wanted to talk to you. I feel you are the special sauce, the secret weapon. You are the AC/DC groove, man. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. Thanks, Dean. Yeah.
Now, I have the first question I have for you, and I've always wanted to know this. Who were your guys? Who were the drummers that you were rocking to when you started out?
Well, Ringo, Charlie Watts, Cozy Powell, Ian Pace, just those 60s guys, the British rock guys, and Ringo was sort of always a special kind of a dude. So.
Cozy Powell.
He was great, mate. He was great. Oh, he was great. Yeah, he was great. He had that really great attitude, Cozy. Really, really great.
So, what is it for you on the drums? Are you sitting around? You see the Beatles on Ed Sullivan? Is it that like everybody else on the planet back then?
No, I heard Tin Soldier. I mean, that was probably the start of the whole thing for me. I think I heard Steve Marriott and the boys. They cranked it up pretty good. that kind of that's what really motivated me. That just love the way that song starts.
And so was it drums right away, or did you want to be a singer or guitar or bass or anything, or was it drums?
It was drums, yeah. I wanted to leap into that, whatever that Steve Marriott thing was, at the start of Tin Soldier. I just wanted to get in there, So it was great. It's a great feel at the start of that track. It's a great track, that one, Tin Soldier.
So what do? Do you ask your parents for a drum kit? Do you get a job? You go out and search one out? How does this happen?
Well, I had to get a job, and the old man signed up for me so I could buy a kit. So I was away from there. I went pretty good.
It's funny to think about Ringo Starr because he's so underrated, right?
It's just the feel, mate. It's the feel. When you see him playing with Carl Perkins and Eric Clapton on that Carl Perkins birthday show they did, he's just, mate. He's just hot. He's just on it, Okay, I show that to people, who don't get it, I say, well, listen to this. And they go, yeah, right, yeah, shit, because he really has got something happening, Ringo. He really has got something extra special going on.
And Charlie Watts. I mean, Charlie Watts. I always say there's three bands to me that without the drummers, they just are not what they are. Zeppelin with Bonzo, ACDC with Phil Rudd, and Charlie Watts with the Stones. I mean, those three, and they all three are totally different.
That's just how you grow up, we all come from a sort of organic place, and whatever grows on us, sort of grows on us as we go along.
How long until you get into a band? Once you get your drums, how long till you get into Buster Brown? Is it pretty fast, or are you taking lessons? How does this happen?
It was only a couple of years, I think, before I joined Buster Brown. That only lasted for a small couple of years, and then I fell into ACDC. And
what a life, man! You're like, yeah, I think I'll pick up drums, play a couple of years, and then join this band, and we'll become the biggest band in the world in about 15 years. That is wild.
The guys knew where they were going. I wasn't really sure what I was doing, but Angus and Malcolm, they knew where they were going. But,
yeah.
I was just kind of there, and I just tried to keep up. So,
do you remember what brand that first kit was?
The first kit was a Ringo kit that I bought because I had an old Premier kit that I'd painted a few times, and so I had a Ludwig kit, and then a Slingerland kit that was my first sponsored kit, and I got hooked up with Sonar, and because they make such fantastic hardware, I've never been able to go to anyone else since.
I mean, you are the Sonar guy. That's just all there is to it. I mean, when I think of Phil Rudd, I think of straight up Sonar.
Well, yeah, well, you can't. When I think of doing a gig, I think of Sonar too, mate. I mean, that's nothing else. Everything else falls to bits under you. I mean, there's a lot of hard-hitting guys around, but I don't know. It's I seem to go through a lot of equipment.
I especially think about like Let There Be Rock. When you think about the pounding on that, like in the film, when they're bringing in another snare and everything, you're just thinking about the drilling of that.
Oh yeah, no, it is. It's great. I mean, it really is great. It's life at the coalface, and it's great. Really, really good. It's just part of it. It's part of the whole commitment, and I don't know, madness, really, I suppose.
Let's talk a little bit about your audition in ACDC. I had read that you went in and auditioned, got the gig on the spot. Do you remember what songs you played at the audition and what it was like?
Oh, the band, they just had their first album come out, High Voltage, and so they were playing a few tracks off that. And I hadn't been really doing much for a few months, and when I heard about it, I just went around there, and there was a kid around there, and had a bit of a bash on that, and we seemed to hook up pretty well from the start. I was pretty energetic and kind of charging along there, so they kind of like my sort of thing, you know. And yeah, it's just got on that basis ever since, really.
Once you get in the band, do you go out and tour some of the high voltage stuff, or do you go in and do the TNT record right away?
We were touring. We were touring it when I first joined the band. It was only a few weeks in, and we did that big festival in Melbourne, Sunbury, with the famous Deep Purple show in the mud. But but we were recording an album just about every year for the first few years there, and so as they came together, we'd play new songs off them because we were still doing a few covers, to make up the numbers. So as our repertoire sort of got bigger, we sort of grew with it.
When you first come in, I know you were, I'm not sure if this is correct, but from what I've read over the years, that you were pretty tight with Bon. Is this right?
Bon, Bon was a friendly guy, I took him home for Christmas once, and all that sort of thing. Everyone loved him. It was great. He slept on the couch, and I think he did. I can't remember now. But he was a good guy. He was pretty chilled, So because he was from Adelaide, so we'd be recording in Sydney, and I'd drive home to Melbourne for Christmas. It's just getting too complicated. It sounds like it, but so we'd have a break over Christmas, and sometimes Cliff would sometimes come down to Melbourne, or Bon would come down and sort of hang out with me and the family and stuff. Bon was a good guy to have around at Christmas time, man. He was a party guy, He was just a good buzz, He was just a good buzz,
That chemistry of, by the time you guys kind of really get it going and get over to London and do the Let There Be Rock record, it's a punch in the face, man. You guys are so smoking live. You guys were just doing like hundreds of gigs, right?
We were, yeah, we worked really hard in the early years. Oh, we still work hard when we go out. We still work pretty hard. But we were doing in Melbourne. We were doing four gigs a day sometimes.
Whoa, really?
No shit. Oh yeah. No, we put us to the sword pretty good, because the management was paying us a wage while we did as many gigs as they could find. So,
oh wow! So you were kind of like salaried, and then they would just say, "Here's your jobs."
For a while, yeah. But we had support. We had support from the record company, and the guys, of course, Angus and Malcolm supported the whole thing a lot. When we first went overseas.
That's just amazing.
So it was pretty good. We were a pretty determined little bunch. So yeah.
What can you tell me about the differences between Mark Evans and Cliff? Because the bass and drums need to lock up. What do you think? What is the difference between these two type of players?
Well, Cliff's a great bass player, and that's probably about it.
I love that one. There's the difference right there. Amazing. Wow. Was it a case of just kind of, once you got out on the road and you were really playing, that the caliber of the band rose above Mark Evans playing? Is that what you're saying?
Well, I'm not saying that you said that, but that's fair. That's fair, I would say, because we were all, I wasn't sure if I was going to get the shot that night, to be honest. So.
Oh shit! Really?
Well, you don't really know what's going on. So there's a meeting tonight, we just decided we had to develop, musically, the guys did anyway. And of course, Cliff, it's amazing. He's just smooth operator.
That guy's incredible. Do you remember some of the other guys that came in and auditioned, or was it just Cliff pretty much?
We went through quite a period there trying to find a bass player. We had a couple of guys who filled in. We had George did a few gigs with us. we could have kept him, but he wasn't really interested in going back on the road again after his life in the Easy Beach, So one guy was called Speedy because it took so long to get the idea of anything. Sadly, he passed away recently, but I'm sure it wasn't any of our fault. But no, we just had different people fill in. Of course, Mal played bass for a while because he was a wicked bass player as well. Mal could.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, he was. Yeah, it was quite something, young Malcolm. And but we had the songs weren't 3-piece songs, so we not wanted to get back on the guitar, and so we eventually found Cliff because we had to shop pretty wide to find him, I guess. Not a big reserve of guys. I mean, you got to find guys who are at your level and sort of in your space. I mean, you got to find guys who fit in and can play and still fit in. So you can't be too clever. We don't like clever, too clever.
Yeah, you can't have some guy up there that's kind of just John Entwistle style where they're going all over the fretboard. That's not going to lock in with an ACDC type of groove.
Off and slapping it and go, different strokes, as I say.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It is an interesting style that you have. It is unbelievable. And I know one thing about it for sure is whenever I would jam ACDC with people, they right away would be like, wow, what is he even doing here? It seems easy, but it's completely hard. And I think it's because you were just born with that swing. That's what it is. It's the feel.
Yeah, well, I'd like to think so. It's, that's the whole idea, is to make it swing. So you tap your foot. That's the idea. So, and we're all about that. Angus is especially about that. It's all about the feel, and it's got to rock. So have you heard all the album, Dean, or have you just heard Shot in the Dark, or have you heard the other tracks off the album yet?
Oh no, I've heard the whole record. Absolutely.
So what do you think?
I really like Realize, big time. I loved Demon's Fire. Shot in the Dark, of course, is great. And what's the one, Witches?
I think it might be. I'm still waiting for a copy.
I love it, man. It's a great record. It's so great to have you back in that seat. There you are. You do the Rock or Bust record, and then you get into some trouble, and we don't have you.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about some of your time. I did read once that this letter that recently sold. Bon wrote a letter to his sister, and it went up for auction recently. And there was a section in there where it said that Phil was having a rough time on the tour, a little depressed and stuff. And I was always wondering if that was maybe a little bit of overworked, because rock can just get to you.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. We all have ups and downs, and I've had a few down buzzes as I've gone along, but I'm in pretty good shape at the moment. So.
Yeah. You look fantastic, and like I said, it's great to have you back in. It was a bummer when you weren't there for the Rock or Bust tour. Let me ask you about the filming of the movie Let There Be Rock. Do you remember that? Because I think it's one of the greatest concerts ever shot. It's kind of underrated. I think it's fantastic. And it really captured this time of you guys just being a fierce machine.
Yeah, no, I do remember making that. It was an interesting time. It was a good show, of course. Thanks for that.
I love the Porsche 928 on it. You a Porsche guy?
Well, not really. I'm not really a Porsche guy. I was that day. It was the first time I got my hands on anything like that in my life. It was like, let me in.
Was that your car or just borrowed?
No, it was just borrowed from Porsche. I was real careful about where I could drive it and everything. I mean, Cliff took off in it. Went to town. Yeah, so it was pretty cold those days when we were doing that filming. Well, you got to get busy because it's so fucking cold. So,
when you look back at the era of before Back in Black, of course, and you really you're starting to do kind of a slow just build up. By the time you get to Highway to Hell, it's completely a different ball game when this record drops out. What did you think about that whole Mutt Lange coming in and just killing it on that? Were you just like, we're on another level now?
well, you can't doubt Mutt's commercial, viability because he makes stuff much more radio friendly. The boys are a bit more traditional with their brother George. So, and that's personal choice. Everyone's welcome to have that. So, aren't they? Yeah, they are. Sorry, I'll digress. Mutt was, Mutt was really good to work with. The guys enjoyed working with him, and Mutt respected Angus and Malcolm hugely. What they were trying to do and what they wouldn't do. They wouldn't do this. They wouldn't play fruity notes and make nice sounds, and they get on the big production bandwagon, and just sort of let that whole thing get lost in all that. So they were trying to keep the band, a good blues-based sort of a thing. With some of those early records sounded pretty good. There's some great guitar sounds. Holy shit!
Night Prowler. I mean, this has got to be one of the greatest AC/DC songs of all time.
There's a lot of stuff out there, I guess, that people have never heard because it's a vast catalogue that we've got, and everyone has highlights.
What do you remember about the Eddie Kramer sessions? Brian said that, Cliff said that Eddie Kramer came up to you and said, "Hey, try some rolls and fills and stuff," and you said, "Yeah, you got the wrong drummer there, buddy."
He just wasn't the right guy. I mean, that's how I can really put it. He just wasn't the right guy for AC/DC. We were just trying to get rid of the guy. But we managed to.
When the Brian auditions come down, I talked to Brian about it quite a bit, but do you remember some other guys that came in an audition? And was the decision a band decision, or was it just the brothers that decided on Brian?
Oh, the brothers they were making the decision, but they'd look around and they want to know what you thought, and Brian was just, fuck, he just come down and just fucking ripped it, he was just amazing. He still does, mate. He's amazing, that guy. He's just amazing.
He really is. When you hear the vocals of like Shoot the Thrill or Have a Drink on Me or Hell's Bells, those are insane vocals, man. Insane.
Yeah. They're insane for anyone to do, but for a well-traveled old bugger like Brian, it's amazing what he does. It really is. We had a great in Amsterdam. We had a ball, 3 weeks of jamming it up and playing the new stuff, and it's killer. And then COVID hit, so we had to park it up.
God, it's such a bummer, right? What do you think about? I personally love Flick of the Switch, and this is kind of the time where you leave the band after it's recorded. But what do you think about the choice of not using Mutt Lange again once they got to Flick of the Switch and that whole thing?
I don't really know, mate. I didn't have anything to do with it. So it depends. Who you use. You can't always get who you want because they've got other things on, and So sometimes you can't just sort of cut and paste it how you like. But I think we come out pretty good in the end. We ended up doing a couple more with George, and then of course there was the Rick Rubin period. I won't go into that too much, but
yeah, when you come back, they do the Rick Rubin record, and no one cared for that as him producing. Is that correct?
No one. No, we didn't really get on with Rick Rubin. I don't think. No, I'm pretty sure we didn't. No, he was. he's Rick Rubin, but I mean, it's not much good to us, sort of, he's made some good sounding records, no doubt about that. He just didn't have the boy's vision, But Brendan O'Brien, he's got that pretty well covered.
Oh my God. I mean, like the Rock or Bust record and the new record it's really like sonically. I mean, he's killing it. He's killing it with ACDC.
Right. Yeah, no, I agree. So everyone's pretty happy. So yeah, glad everyone likes it so far. It's coming out in a couple of weeks, isn't it?
It's coming out on the 13th.
13th.
Yeah. How does it happen that you, after you have your troubles before the Rock or Bust tour, how does it happen that you come back into the fold after that tour? Or is it at Malcolm's funeral that Angus talks to you about coming back?
No, he didn't. Mel and I Angus and I had a good chat at Al's funeral, and we caught up, and a lot of all that crazy shit had gone on. But since then, I sort of got my shit together and put a little band together and went to Europe and was doing a bit of playing and stuff and did an album. And the guys knew I was still playing and stuff. So when I caught up with Angus at the funeral, we were sort of chatting away, and somehow he just sort of seemed to think that I was up for an album. He started writing one. Apparently the next day he went to the studio at home, so we started writing straight away. So, and then we got to get the old call. We're going, pack your bag and see you in 3 weeks. So righto, here we go.
I love somebody got some spy shots of you, spy photos, when you guys were recording up there, and it was like, oh my God, Phil's in. That was the big news.
This guy came up to me in the street and goes, Phil, I said, mate, you got the wrong guy. I'm not even here.
I love it. What about back in 91 when they're on the Razor's Edge tour? I had read that when they got to New Zealand, they kind of called you up to come on down and hang out. They was kind of sniffing around to get you back in back then. You don't come back in till 93, but they were asking around 91, correct?
I think so. Yeah, I think so. I wasn't really there, but I got the idea that they were, they're thinking about that. So, which is nice.
Oh God, yeah. I mean, everybody wants you back there. That's really what it's about. It's wild to think about anybody else back there. I mean, Chris Slade's good and Simon Wright's good, but they're no Phil Rudd. Were you paying attention to the group while they were out with other drummers? Were you listening to it, checking it out at all?
Well, yeah, I sort of it was always sort of my gig, but it wasn't, So, I mean, you shoot if you shoot yourself in the foot, well, you got to expect to you got to front up and pay the piper. So, yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I was doing really well, with the Razor's Edge and everything, which was great for them and not so great for me, but that's all right. I mean, it was. I don't know. I mean, I can't really recall my whole life up and down since.
I get it, man. Let's talk a little bit about your body. Playing drums all these years. How's that? You all good? Your ears, everything? Great.
I haven't got an ache or a pain or anything. My body's in great shape. I haven't been going to the gym as much as I was, but that's just being lazy, I suppose. I get fit while I'm playing, So, usually before we do anything, we usually have a few weeks rehearsal or something. So, I kind of get my match fitness up then, because you can't train to sort of for your hands to not hurt or whatever, because you're initially going to get a few wounds, So.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Playing drums like you play for 2.5 hours. It's definitely it's a hard gig, man. It is a hard gig and high volume the whole time. I mean, that that shit's on 110 dB.
Supposed to be easy though, Dean. You know? It's not supposed to be easy, mate. You know? It's supposed to be hard, and you and that's the point. You know? We don't play stuff that's easy. It sounds easy to play, but it's not what you play, is it? It's how you play it. And it's the old adage, cliche for the books.
Let's talk a little bit about recording of the new record. Did you go up there and you guys just started tracking live and burning through the stuff? How did that go down?
We were putting stuff down from the first day, and we had a day of getting some sounds together, you know, a drum day, and and we went in, and once we had the cans all set and all set to go, we just started knocking the ideas down. So Angus had plenty of ideas, and he was getting together with Brendan and coming up with a few shapes and sizes for the day ahead. Away we go. It was pretty good fun. It was pretty good fun. It was yeah, it was good. I've never enjoyed playing like I do now. I love playing more now than I ever have. You know? So that's I'm not sure where that come from, but it's just yeah. I really enjoy getting out and playing with the guys. You know, it's great.
Cliff was telling me that you guys really like this studio. It has a great sound and it's like all glass front, so you're not like in a box. And he said it's really got a good vibe in there. You feel the same way?
Yeah. Well, I'm shoved in a box, but you know that's okay. They built a room around the kit, and they shoved me. They stuffed me through a hole in the back door, and let me out for a cup of tea every couple of hours. But it is a good studio to work in. You know? And we've been working with our engineer Mike Fraser for so long now. He's always got our stuff up for us.
Yeah, that guy's amazing, right? I mean, he obviously knows how to get amazing drum tones.
He's amazing. He is amazing.
What are you using on this? Is it 22 bass drum?
Yeah, 22 inch bass drum, pretty standard. So they sound great, those Sonor bass drums, man. They got so much weight. You know, they're just great.
They are fantastic. Where is Sonar made?
Germany. All the good stuff's made in Germany, and the other stuff's made in China.
That's hilarious. The new record, I tell you, the video is fantastic. Oh my God. Shot in the dark video. How great does this video look?
Pretty crisp, eh? It was pretty sharp. Right?
Where'd you guys shoot it at?
In Amsterdam.
Wow. What's going on out there? You're in New Zealand, right? You live out there. You got a studio and stuff. You got a band that you were doing.
No, just home with the family, and I don't do anything when I'm at home really. Just sort of get down to the family, and I still do a little bit of flying, and I've got a couple of cars and stuff. I've quieted down quite a bit over the last few years.
What kind of cars you got?
Ferrari and a McLaren.
Which Ferrari? 488 or something?
599.
599.
So it's a beast, mate. It's a beast.
Which McLaren you got? I love that. What is it? The 702 or that one? Oh my God.
The early one's a 540C. It's a maniac. It's so quick. I took this mate of mine as a cop for a ride in it, and he should have arrested himself after that. You don't drive. I'm sort of not as nuts as I used to be, but I've got 5 kids. Yeah, I've got 4 grandchildren, and there's a couple of them around here somewhere actually. All the girls, fairly well nailed down family now at this point.
Any of them play music?
Not really. They're all sort of into fitness and gyms and stuff like that, But lifting weights and all that sort of stuff, I do all muscles.
Let me ask you this: you got any vintage drum kits? Do you collect drums, or is it just straight up sonar and that's it?
Mate, I haven't got any room to collect anything. I've got so much shit in storage. I don't know what to do with it as it is. I've got stuff stacked up. I don't know what to do with it. You know, drums and Christ, I've got so much drum stuff. It's like I don't know what to do with it all, mate. You know, I've got cases full of snare drums of all sorts, and I'm not so much into vintage stuff. You know, you know, I like the old Ludwig snare drums. You know, like John Bonham used to use. You know, and Ringo, of course. You know, and it was always a classic sounding snare drum. But apart from that, I've always used the old Gretsch, chrome over brass, and you know, the guys like those for a certain clomp they get out of it, you know. And live, I play my own sonar snare drum. So I've been shot at, you know. It's just great.
I love those old Black Beauties, you know.
Yeah, I've got a few of those. I got them in this, and I got them in that, and I got one that sonar made for me. It's made out of bell bronze. It weighs about 25 kgs. You know? You can hardly lift it up. So try that. Try and lift it up. It's made out of it's about this thick. Made out of bell bronze. Sounds like shit. Sounds like a steel pipe. I shouldn't say that. Novelty stuff, you know. But I like stuff that works. You know, it's like I like cars with brakes. I like drums with punch. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's just sort of.
Are there any songs in the ACDC catalog that you would love to see in the set list? I mean, I'm into like Squealer or Soul Stripper, some really classic deep tracks. Are there anything that you would like to see in there?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I love Squealer. I've got that on my turntable all the time. Right on Squealer. I play them all the time. They're just such fantastic tracks. You know? Bon Scott he's just something else, isn't he? You know? I'm really only appreciating that at this age as well. So, you know, yeah, it's good. I don't know. But we always try to record stuff that we could play live. It wasn't much good putting out an album full of songs if you went out and you could only play half of them live because you have to still play. You know, you got to find more stuff to play live. And that was the thing. If you can't play it live, don't record it because other people would use, you know, extra layers and, you know, other voices and all sorts of shit, you know, to gloss their stuff up, you know. Whereas we were kind of, you know, more real, try to be more real than that, you know. So
when you look back at the Bon era, what's your favorite Bon era record out of that run?
Power Age, I think, that was Cliff's first album as well, and it's a great album. But it's got a couple of things on there that people really like, but we don't necessarily play them live because, you know, we sort of, our aim is to kind of beat you up when we play live. You know what I mean? We're not trying to be nice to you. You know, we're trying to beat you up. So that's so, you know, we don't like to be too nice when we get on stage. We like to give it a good hiding and go home. You know, as Mel said, follow that.
What was Malcolm like, man? I mean, he's so great. He was the band leader and stuff like that. But what was he like? Just a pure rock and roller, huh?
Well, he was really determined. He was really, really determined. You know? And that's probably the one thing that would describe him best. If you ask me, determined. But yeah, we were all developing as people at that stage then, and we all had ups and downs, and we all sort of, you know. But yeah, it's all good. He was a great guy. He knew exactly what he wanted, you know, and that was the great thing about Angus and Malcolm. They knew where they were going, you know. And you have to have that. You've got to have a direction. And they wouldn't be moved from that direction. They wanted to, you know. So, and here we are with our how many album? how many album by now? So, and it still sounds great. I mean, you know, sounds great.
It's unbelievable, man. I mean, your band, it's legendary. There's no better rock and roll band ever. And in the entire history of just straight ahead rock and roll, it's AC/DC. The songs, the guys, the logo, the tours, the stages, everything about it is perfection.
So what am I supposed to say to that, Dean?
Well, it's amazing, man. I mean, Rock and Roll Hall of Famer. You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I am.
The first time I saw you guys was 1978. It was Oakland Coliseum on the Power Age tour. And it was Cheap Trick, AC/DC, Journey, Blue Oyster Cult, and Ted Nugent. Do you remember these Day in the Green shows?
I do, yeah. We made a pretty good impact of some of those shows. They were filling the place up by 10 o'clock in the morning so they could see us, and it was pretty good. You know, they were great, those stadium shows. They really, they propelled they just put a lot of people to.
I mean, that's got to be mind-boggling to come over to America, because you're over in 77 and you're doing clubs like the Whiskey a Go-Go and the old Waldorf in San Francisco, and they're really small clubs. You come back a year later and you're playing a summer run on these massive baseball parks. That had to be a rush for you.
Well, it was. You know, we were kind of, we were up for it, so, yeah, we were up for it. It was all good. It all worked out well. We're still up for it.
Yeah. I mean, I hope that you guys are able to tour somehow on this Power Up record. This Power Up record it's smoking, man. And I think if we could see these songs live, it'd just be even more insane, because like Demon's Fire is a classic riff rockin' AC/DC song. I would love to see this song open up the show with it,
Well, I think we'd all like to get out there and, let a couple go. We'll have to see how that plays out.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let me check this here. Oh, I was going to ask you, are you a comedy fan?
Oh, yeah, I'm quite a comedy fan. Yep.
Yeah. Well, who do you like?
Like Rowan Atkinson. I like the Blackadder and Fawlty Towers. Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Quite a fan of that.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh yeah, I love that show.
Wow, that's great. I know a friend of mine, Chelsea Peretti's on that show. I'm a comedian.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah,
they're great. Those guys, they're great. I love that show.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Do you watch any live comedy on Netflix?
Not too much. I love the Blackadder. I'd rather watch the Blackadder again than, I guess I shouldn't say that, but I'd rather watch something old that I know I like than something new that I'm not sure if I will or not, Is that good? No.
Well, I brought my buddy on right here. He's one of my best friends, and he is an incredible comedian. I work with him all the time here in the States. His name is Bill Burr, and I wanted to have him on the last part of the show here because he is a helicopter pilot also. And
really?
Yeah, and he flies us to the gigs, which is very wild. And he wanted to talk some helicopters with you. So let's bring him on. How are you, Bill? You got your face there?
I think so. Wait, I got to click on the video.
Yeah,
oh, there we go. Start video.
Yeah.
There we go.
Here we are. Now, Bill and I do a tribute to Bon Scott every year. And it's a massive show we do in Los Angeles. Bill plays some drums, but he is one of the number one comedians in America, a fantastic human, and a helicopter pilot. So he said, I got to talk to Phil about some helicopters. So let's get this going.
Right.
Yeah, I was wondering when you learned how to fly and what you flew.
G'day, Bill. How are you, mate?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. When I come to settle in New Zealand, I started to fly helicopters because they're all over the place here. They were chasing deer around doing live recovery at that time. And it was a pretty exciting time in the helicopter business because, You seen what those guys do to get live recovery?
Yeah, I thought that you guys don't you guys do you like herd animals with helicopters down there, right?
They catch deer. They chase deer through the bush and net them with a net gun. And the guy jumps out and ties it up, and they hook it on and fly it out of the bush. All that sort of stuff. I took Brian and Cliff out. They both got a deer with my mate, the guy who taught me to fly. They let a ball, mate. Well, what's that? You fly, Bill?
Yeah, I fly Robinsons.
Yeah.
Yeah, like most of I only have like about 260 hours, and I got them all pretty much in the R22. But I just got into a deal with some other pilots. Have you seen that Cabri G2?
Yeah, I was saying that.
Yeah. So it's basically the guys in France bought an R22, took it apart, kept all the stuff that worked, and then improved on everything else. So it's like a 3-bladed main rotor system, fully articulated, so no low G pushover. Right. None of that stuff. And you can actually auto-rotate between 30 and 50 knots, which blows my mind. Okay. Because my entire time learning how to auto-rotate has been in the 22, which is you just drop like a stone until the last second.
That's so good. I had an R22 for a while, and a couple of years I learned in the Robinson, of course, like most people do.
What are you flying these days?
I haven't got a machine at the moment, but I had a D model for a couple of years, Hughes 500. And recently I had a NOTAR, MD 520, which was a NOTAR helicopter with no rotor. It's a lot of fun to fly, sort of. Kind of. It's, yeah.
Yeah, no complaints from the neighbors with that. All right, can I ask you a couple of geek drum questions, and then I'll get out of the way? All right, one of my favorite drum kits of all time you had, which was on the Back in Black tour. It's in the videos. It's a sonar kit. I want to say a natural finish. And I was always curious if you sold that kit or if you still have it.
I've still got it. I've still got that.
You still got it?
Yeah.
Now, do you keep all of your kits throughout the years?
No, not really. I mean, I'd have drums. I'd have warehouses full of drums if I did that. I've been around for a long time, Bill. But
right. So what was it about that kit that made you keep that one as opposed to other ones?
Oh, it's just fucking gorgeous. It was just gorgeous. There's never been anything like that signature series. That was a signature series sonar kit with the ebony or Babinga inside and out, and it was beautiful. It is beautiful. The chrome is still brand new. It must be 40 years old.
They were gorgeous with those white heads on them too. I mean, it was just absolutely gorgeous. And then the last drum question I have was, I learned so much through your playing. I really did. And like a lot of, young kids coming up, when they look at you or like Charlie Watts and guys that are just playing for the song, you think what you're doing is easy until you play about 5 years. And then all of a sudden you just have that thunderclap moment of how difficult what you do is and how little margin of error there is when you play the way that you play. And I noticed with your style early on, it was like, say like on Jailbreak, there was a lot of fills. It was a little busier. And then you narrowed it down to sort of that thing that is the foundation of the AC/DC sound. And one of my favorite albums of your drumming is when you it seemed like you combined both, was on the For Those About to Rock album, where it was the busiest I had heard your bass drum, but it still never got in the way of, and I was just wondering, when you're just playing that 2/4 thing, how do you always seem to know when to add that extra eighth, not to play a quarter, to do like and 3 or 1 and 2, it makes the hair, to this day, I've listened to some of these songs for 40 years. It makes the hair on my arm stand up. I was just curious as to what, is that just an instinctual thing as you're playing, or do you work that out before you record it?
It is pretty instinctual because I've got a really bad memory, so I can't remember. Anything. So I just wing it. Basically I'm winging it. I'm trying to sort of shoot a few shots where the guys are sort of looking for them and stuff, but I'm just winging it. There's no, it's no rocket. There's no science to it really.
Was the style that you have was that something that you came up with, feeding off of what Malcolm and Angus were playing, or was it something that they had input on, just saying, just play it more straight ahead? Or is it, how did you come up with that style?
And they always liked it sort of more straight ahead, you know, because if they're playing something, they didn't want me pissing around doing something else. You know, they're trying to play something. I was like, what the fuck are you doing? It's like,
right.
So you just carry on. You know, my thing's a different thing to their thing. You know, it's the sum of the parts. You know, you don't have to play the same parts. You know what I mean? You know, which is So.
I think you're playing on Landslide on Flick of the Switch is so radical, and the tempo and the speed and the violence of that playing is just fantastic, man. I mean, I love that. Is the Cliff or the Phil Rudd of Let There Be Rock, Landslide, these straight ahead, fierce rockin' tunes.
Well, thanks, Dean. I mean, we're all listening in different ways. I mean, I wouldn't have listened to that song for, Christ, I don't know how many years now. I remember Spellbound, but I can't remember everything.
Spellbound was like, what I loved about that one is just as far as like the tone of it was ACDC's a lot of positive stuff. And that was one thing that kind of dealt with like a depression a little bit and life going a little bit rough. And I always felt like that was like a hidden gem. Did you guys ever play that one live?
I don't believe so. No, I don't.
No. Do you ever get any input on the set list?
Not really. You know, it's sort of, it's kind of like, you know, it's you just look at it and hope you can make it to the end. You know?
Well, yeah. I think I'd say at this point, I think I know what you're doing. Dean, do I got time for one more geek drum question?
Yeah. I
hope I'm not annoying you with this. I almost called you Mr. Rudd. That's the level of respect that I have for what you've done over the years. On Shoot to Thrill.
Right.
The breakdown that I've never been able to get through that song without hitting rewind at least 3 times back to when it goes down. I ruined so many cassette tapes doing that. And of course I go out and buy them again. I was wondering, how many drums are you playing on there? You just riding on the floor, Tom, and just accenting on one rack, Tom, or you got 2?
I just got one. No, I only ever used one in the studio. And I got
you did
off that sort of multi-rack thing quite a while ago. You know, it was, I couldn't reach out that stuff anyway.
Right. Did you ever see that kit what he has in the Jailbreak video?
Yeah.
There was this moment in time on one like bass drum mount. They would, in a triangle formation, they put those toms.
Swing-a-lang kit. And it used to go over forward all the time.
I was wondering why those things didn't catch on. I knew there had to be something. It looked nuts. Well, I just wanted to come on real quick. Dean was so nice to let me come on. I cannot tell you like the influence. You even influenced. You're such a good drummer. You even influenced my comedy as far as economy of words. I'm just applying what you do to a song to telling jokes and everything. So I hope this stupid COVID thing. What's that?
I'm getting off here and I'm going to watch some of your stuff as soon as I get off here.
Oh, well, don't watch it around the kids. I'm not the best joke writer, so I got to let them fly a little bit. I'm so excited for the new album. So excited you guys all got back together again. And I hope this COVID stuff goes away so I can see you guys live as soon as possible.
Cheers, mate.
All right. Fly safe. And I'm so psyched you still got that drum kit. Dean, thanks for letting me pop on.
Phil, thank you so much for doing the show. It's unreal. I mean, like I said, I wanted to talk to you my whole life. That's why I asked you the crazy questions and stuff. But it's just, you're Phil Rudd, man. And everybody, I mean, Lars Ulrich last week was saying Phil Rudd is the god. And that's how all the pro drummers feel. Everyone we play with all say Phil Rudd. It doesn't matter who it is. So it's amazing to talk to you. And thank God you're here playing on this brand new record, Power Up. And it's incredible to see you. And thank you for doing the show, man.
You're welcome, Dean. Thanks, mate.
It meant the world. That's it. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Dean. Cheers, mate. It's been a pleasure.
See you later.
All right, Bill. Fly safe, buddy. I'll see you.
See you, Bill.
See you, buddy.